All right, let's run down the numbers regarding the old paint pots I dragged out of the garage. Now, the majority of these paints had been stored for 15 years or more. There were 199 in that category. Then there were 30 pots that had never been opened, so new essentially. Of those, 2 were the taller bottles, 6 were the old Warzone pots from the 1990s, and 22 then were Citadel pots. That leads to a flat-out total of 229 old paint pots that had been in storage for a minimum of 5 years because none of them had been out since our move 5 years ago, and most had been stored for at least 15 years. For the first part of my operation, I did not open any of the so-called as-new paints. I simply shook each one vigorously as though I was about to paint something with them. All of them were still liquid, and after a suitable amount of agitation, appeared to blend into a usable paint, so that's 30 good paints out of 229 so far. As you may have seen in my prior short on this subject, I mixed up my own acrylic paint retarding agent to thin the paints with, and I ultimately needed to mix at least 2 bottles of it. The used paint count that had been shelved for at least 15 years consisted of 46 tall pots and 153 small bottles for a total of 199 paints. Of that 199, only 2 bottles succumbed to mold. Ew. But fully 110 were salvageable, meaning that there was only 87 bottles that were unsavable due to drying out fully. I am left then with a current total of 140 usable paint pots with which to pursue my hobbies. You should subscribe and come along for the ride.